we perhaps at some point in our career tend to compare one experience with the other, whether it's it becoming good or it becoming bad. Tell us a little bit about what's the role of culture as a context building in the corporate world as we're entering the workforce, and especially when you think about Gen Z, what implications does it have when you think about culture and the Gen Z workforce?
Right. So, these days, Nikhil, diversity is an oft abused word because the minute you think about diversity, people think about gender diversity. But I
Mm,
think diversity has many more dimensions to it, which is, especially in our context, as we're talking about Gen Z, it's actually generational diversity.
mm,
Okay, so I've had the good fortune of working across generations where I've had, right from baby boomers to bringing in Gen Z into the workforce. And I can tell you that it's absolutely a tightrope walk, and it's the most
mm,
difficult thing that I've experienced in my career, because every generation has their own viewpoints and way of doing things, and characteristics. Okay, so if we look at Gen Z, they actually want to explore and engage with a wide variety of different voices and viewpoints,
mm,
which in an organizational context is not always easy, because you'd often hear the term, that's the way things are done here. All
mm,
right, so you'd have a lot of earlier generations, I don't want to label one or the other, but you'd have earlier generations talk about, you're the new kid on the block, this is how it's done here, kind of a thing. So statements like this or a mindset like this actually
mm,
is culture,
mm,
okay, in an organization. And when you're trying to bring in fresh blood and fresh ideas, and in this case, if you're talking about Gen Z,
mm,
it's not so easy, because you know the uh, the framework or the rules are so set that it's almost cast in stone. So I think the
mm,
role of the HR person becomes very critical, because you have to shake everyone up a little bit, and make sure that you make room for the new people. Okay, now what is, in my experience, what I've been able to do to shake this culture and to make it more cohesive,
mm,
so that everybody starts to appreciate each other, if not
mm,
understand. Okay,
mm,
I think understanding is the next step, but
mm,
appreciating people who exist in the ecosystem
mm,
is help, have dialogues with people from different generations, which is, we've got to understand that Gen Z basically, have never known a world without the World Wide Web. Okay, www is what they started, and that's where they are. Okay, it's a
mm.
fully digital native generation, whereas
Yep.
there are so many handicaps that the previous generation has had. So one of the things with respect to culture that has helped is, uh, I was one of the first people to introduce, and I won't name the organization, to introduce reverse mentoring. And
Mm,
this, I'm talking about 15 years ago.
mm,
Reverse mentoring, wherein younger generation is actually talking to and helping the previous generation actually come up to speed. So I
mm,
think that's where appreciation, mutual appreciation actually begins to happen. Okay, now, this generation is famous for their ability to multitask, especially with their mobile phones. I mean,
mm.
average time is about, what I've read and understood, is about 10 hours,
Yeah.
on social media. And any other generation in the organization, and I've been part of meetings and discussions where people think it's a waste of time, it's a distraction. Okay, and how can you tolerate that? I think the organization needs to actually have a firewall to block sites, etc. I mean, these were discussions in executive team meetings, these were discussions in board meetings, whether you should have a policy which allows people to access social media or not, and track where
Mm.
they're spending time. This is part of culture, all right.
Mm. Mm.
So it can't be a free for all.
Mm.
And then there were very key roles that were actually carved out to say these people should have access and these people would not.
Mm.
So when I think back, I'm very amused, and actually, the where were we spending time, what were we thinking of 15 years, 10 years, or even 5 years ago? Because this generation, is the largest cohort of employees, consumers, and trendsetters.
Right.
And I see that as I'm part of certain new age businesses, where I'm either consulting or on the board. And we have actually Gen Z coming and presenting to the board. And I remember in one of the meetings, I was because everybody else belonged to a different generation. When they started presenting, a certain person, everybody else looked up and said, I think, he needs to be told that he can't keep his hands in his pocket when he's speaking. So
Mm.
he appears to be very casual.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, uh, culture. Okay. So, is it the culture of the organization he's representing? Or is it the culture that the other people who are sitting in that room, what they are used to? Okay.
Mm.
So it seems to be like a clash of titans, as you call it. It seems to be like a clash of culture. Okay.
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
After the presentation, when I had a chat with the gentleman, to my surprise, and it was just a chat. I neither said it was right or wrong. I asked for his views about what he thought, whether it was right or not. It was okay. And he thought it was pretty cool. Whereas the other people thought it was
Mm.
casual and a mark of disrespect. So we are,
Mm.
all right. So, role of culture, comes into organizations, and that's why I think there needs to be more acceptance, more appreciation, thereby leading to understanding when you are assimilating and bringing in newer generations into the workforce.